Figuring out what a tax home is and where to call your tax home can be a daunting task. In this video, tax advisor Jared Foos will discuss some of the facts you should know. So Jared, what is a tax home?
It's one of the most loosely defined things in tax law history. It's very, very unique to your industry, being the traveling nurse. You're kind of like, the best way for me to describe this is you're kind of in tax purgatory. What I mean by that is a lot of times people believe that tax law is black and white. In this instance, it's very, very loose. When I say tax home, a lot of people think, well, this is my brick and mortar that I live at here in Ohio. But if I'm a traveling person and I don't have brick and mortar in Ohio, it's very difficult to kind of nail down where your tax home is. And so by definition, it's generally where you make the most money, where you're living. But the IRS has also said and recognizes if you do have this, let's use the term economic home versus permanent home, okay? The economic home is where you're earning most of your money for the year. The permanent home is my brick and mortar that I own or I rent where I'm coming from, where I started. I'm traveling all these places. I'm not going to probably be able to give you something that you can log into this video and say, oh, I know what the hell this is. Because really what it comes down to is every individual situation. I'll give you a quick example. I had a traveling nurse about 2 years ago. She lived in about 5 different states during the year, which is crazy. But she had an ID from one location. She had 4 or 5 different W-2s from different states. She had rent in 5 different states, and she had no permanent residence. So she didn't have a tax home or a permanent home that we could really define because there was 4 or 5 jobs in the year, and all of them made about the same amount of money. So we had to develop tools to get a tax home. So in that instance, what we did is if she didn't do this job, where would she go to? And that was her parents' home. So we developed a lease agreement where she paid rent when she was home, and that created a tax home for her that she was able to at least meet the needs of the IRS tax code to say, this is my tax home. And it's different for W-2s and subcontractors. If you have a business, where's your business money going to? Where's that geographical location? So I know I didn't answer the question the way that probably most people would want, but it's because it's like, how many stars in the sky? I don't know. It depends on where you're looking, and your specific circumstances are going to dictate what your tax home is. If you have a permanent home, and they could be different for everybody. Unfortunately, it really depends on a lot of different factors.
So could you touch on how long you have to be in your tax home per year? Because I know that that's a big sore point with different tax advisors and tax professionals because, it constantly fluctuates.
So, like I said, it's kind of tax purgatory. And I said, people believe that tax law should be 1 + 1 = 2. A lot of this comes down to what's called interpretation and guidance on these things. There's really 2 out of 3 factors that you have to hit. The first one is, do you have significant income at your home, your income at your permanent residence? A lot of traveling nurses don't meet that need. They don't meet that. So it really comes down to second and third one. Does the individual have substantial expenses maintaining their primary residence and are also duplicating at their new residence where they're traveling? Me personally, I don't know if it comes down to a timetable. I think the IRS looks at this in the aspect of how much did you earn while you were here? Is that your primary earning location? So I know that there's separate laws for temporary locations and things like that for time period. If you're anticipating over a year or under a year, I think it's unique to just the traveling nurses and doctors. If you are doing multiple locations per year, if you're doing one location beyond your normal home or your normal permanent residence, that's an easier equation. But for the traveling nurses that are making 2 or 3 stops in the year, things get a little bit dicey. So once again, didn't really answer your question, but there's more variables than just how long was I here.
Well, and just like anything within tax or also financials, it's really personal dependent and situation dependent. So if you have more questions or concerns about tax homes, feel free to go to the link below this video and just reach out. We will get a hold of you and we can make a plan for figuring out your tax home. As always, we come to you for personal health solutions, so come to us for personal wealth solutions.